Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear is not just another political scandal. This is the moment the Democrat Party finally imploded on itself, because as of October 2025, with President Donald J. Trump back in the White House, the Democrats have done the unthinkable. They've just handed the GOP the biggest political gift of the decade, and his name is Zorhan Mandami, this radical socialist from New York, the same guy who refused to condemn, globalize the Intifada chants, has now become the face of a party in total collapse. Oh, and the fallout, it's spreading faster than even CNN can spin it. We're talking open panic behind closed doors, DNC leaders whispering about damage control while pretending everything's fine on cameras. Donors are pulling back, moderates are walking away. Even lifelong Democrats are admitting this is not the party I signed up for. Meanwhile, Republicans, led by a resurgent Trump, they're turning this meltdown into a masterclass in political warfare. I mean, they're branding Mamdani as the new poster child for socialism, chaos, and even moral rot. And it is working. So tonight, we're going to dive deep into how one man's arrogance and one party's weakness and one president's strength collided to create this total political earthquake that we're facing right now. From the chants in the street to the silence in the DNC to the thunder in the GOP war room. This is the story of a political party that's eating itself alive, because when even Democrats are jumping ship, when the media can't contain the outrage, and when President Trump's America keeps winning while theirs burns, you already know what that means. It is over. Hit the like button and subscribe. Okay, you could probably feel it in the air, folks. That's panic, okay? The first day of voting was supposed to be a victory lap for Democrats in New York City, but instead it turned into a political funeral. Zorhan Mandami, hailed by the far left as their next progressive superstar, stumbled out of the gate so badly that even CNN anchors couldn't hide the discomfort on their faces. I mean, the numbers came in, and what did we see? Disillusionment, low turnout, donors in hiding, and whispers inside the DNC calling it, quote, a devastating collapse. Not my words, guys. These are their words. Behind closed doors, staffers begged leadership to pivot, but it was too late. The GOP had already branded Mamdani as a symbol of Democrat failure. And under President Trump's strong America First economy, record employment, real growth, patriotic optimism, the contrast couldn't be any sharper. So while Trump builds, Democrats burn. While Trump unites, they divide. This wasn't just one bad race. This is a mirror held up to the entire Democrat machine, showing them what they have become. This is a movement without unity, without courage, and now without control. Now, the GOP smelled blood, and they moved fast. Within hours of the New York returns, Republican strategists launched a coordinated blitz labeling Zorhan Mandami the face of modern Democrats. This was genius political jujitsu, folks. Take the left's pride in socialism and go ahead and flip this into the nation's biggest red flag. Unmistakably genius, guys. Now, Republican congressmen hit the airwaves with precision. We stand for safe streets, sane policies, and affordable living. Republicans stand for Mandami. Boom. Every Democrat suddenly forced to answer for a man who praised rent freezes and refused to condemn radical chants. Now, Michael Lawler in New York challenged them directly. Do you stand with hardworking Americans or with Zorhan Mandami? And guess what? The silence was deafening. In fact, this wasn't about one candidate anymore. It was about narrative warfare. Trump's team amplified it across social media, drawing a straight line from Mandami's chaos to Democrat leadership's incompetence. But by the end of the week, polls showed suburban voters swinging hard to the right, not because of campaign ads, but because of disgust. The GOP didn't just attack Mandami, they turned him into a walking, talking warning sign of everything America rejects. And folks, speaking of checking what's really working for you, let me ask you something very important. You check your smoke detectors, right? You check your car, but when was the last time you checked your Medicare plan? Now, this is why I partner with Chapter. They give your Medicare coverage a full safety check to make sure it's actually working for you and not against you. Now, one of our viewers told me, I didn't realize how out of date my Medicare plan was until Chapter reviewed it. And this is exactly the kind of wake-up call that so many people need right now. So let me ask, are you going to leave it unchecked and have it fail you at the worst opportune time? Or are you going to join the thousands who've already checked? Now, most people are dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. Again, that phone number is 909-563-8279. Oh, and by the way, check out this amazing comment from one of our YouTube subscribers. So A. Soros Golden says, "Hey Ron, I called chapter and I used your name, but seriously, it is open enrollment and I knew I wanted to switch, but was just so confused about the different plans. I talked to Tyler and he was so helpful, even compared all the plans that they have and pointed out where I could save money and what the yearly cost might be. Seriously, thank you. I didn't want to call them because I do not like sales, but you were right. I am now very happy I called, and I know that I made the right choice for me and for my husband. And best of all, they took care of the enrollment for us. 30 minutes from start to finish. Guys, this is what I love hearing. People finally getting the help that they deserve. All right, let's get back into it because Mandami's downfall didn't stop there, okay? And so that is when the bottom just fell out, because the one thing that's worse than your enemies turning on you, it's your own party pretending that you don't exist. So Miki Sherrill was asked point blank if she supported Zorhan Mandami. Her answer, I'm focused on New Jersey. Translation, absolutely freaking not. Hakeem Jeffries, the so-called leader of House Democrats, gave what reporters called a tepid endorsement, a slow, shaky attempt to save face without actually taking a stand. And Chuck Schumer, well, he went silent. The Senate's top Democrat hiding from his own backyard scandal. This is when you know somebody's finished, guys. When your own allies go mute, when donors pull checks, and when staffers start like updating their resumes before election day, oh, you already know it's over. The same party that preaches diversity and empowerment just threw one of their own under the bus. And then they hit drive, and then they hit the gas, and then they hit reverse and ran over him again. Because the second their radical experiment threatened their power, they hit the eject button. They loved his activism right up until it made them look weak. And so now Mandami stands completely alone, embarrassed, ashamed, abandoned by his mentors, mocked by Republicans, and branded as a cautionary tale in the age of Trump. Then, of course, came the moment that broke the dam. A reporter asked Mandami if he condemned the phrase globalize the intifada. A simple yes or no, but he froze. He danced around it, dodged it, refused to answer directly. And in that hesitation, the entire country saw what Democrats have been hiding for years, their moral confusion. Now, the fallout was absolutely instant. Jewish Democrats called it shameful. Moderates called it frightening. Conservatives called it proof that the modern left will tolerate anything as long as it fits their own narrative, right? But within hours, this clip went viral. I'm talking millions of views, outrage pouring in from both sides. But what did the DNC do? Nothing. They didn't do anything. Dead silence. They hoped that it would pass, but it didn't. It metastasized, spreading into every newsroom, every living room, every social media feed. Now, here's the truth, guys. When you refuse to stand up against hate, you don't look nuanced, you look cowardly. And that cowardice cost Mandami everything. In fact, it cost him his credibility, his campaign, his future, because in 2025, America doesn't want radicals, it wants leaders. So when the firestorm hit, the DNC had a choice, lead or hide. Well, they chose to hide. Hakeem Jeffries brushed off the questions, mumbling something about unity. Meanwhile, refusing to condemn Mandami's comments, the DNC chair tried to spin it as like taken out of context. Yeah, but everybody could see what was really happening. Paralysis. Total paralysis. I mean, you could feel the fear inside the Democrat headquarters. Donors were furious. Staffers was whispering about a leadership void. And the American people were watching, like asking one very simple question. If you can't handle one radical candidate, how can you handle a country? This is the difference between Trump's America and the Democratic circus. When Trump faces a crisis, he charges in head first, decisive, unapologetic, and very clear about it. But when the left faces a crisis, they hold meetings, they write memos, and yellow posted stickers everywhere, and they issue statements that nobody reads. The DNC's double standard is absolutely exposed. They will cancel a conservative in seconds, but they're going to bend over backwards to excuse their own extremists. That's not leadership, folks. That is cowardice dressed up as tolerance, and it is why millions of Americans have already made up their minds in the 2026. The Democrats are not leading. They are hiding. You know, I got to ask you something real quick. How did you guys find this video today? Like, did you type in Ron Yates today, or maybe did you search like Ron Yates latest news? Like, or did YouTube finally decide to let the truth slip through the cracks and actually show this video on your feed? Let me know. However you got here, I'm glad you did, because every time you watch the show, every time you comment or share this video, you are absolutely helping to spread what the mainstream refuses to talk about. So while the DNC melts down trying to silence stories like this one, you guys my audience, you guys are keeping the truth alive. So I really appreciate you. All right. So let's keep going, because Mandami's so-called housing revolution, it is turning into a full-blown disaster. So I want to talk about this lie at the center of Mandami's campaign: affordable housing. It sounds noble, right? Like build affordable housing for working families. But when you look closer, you see the same failed socialist blueprint that wrecked every blue city from coast to coast. Mandami pushed rent freezes and caps, ideas that sound compassionate until you realize they destroy investment. Developers pull out, landlords stop renovating, and the housing supply collapses. That's not affordability. That is economic suicide. Even Fox News analysts compared it. Texas is building, Florida is booming, New York choking under Democratic red tape. Wow. And they're right, guys. They are absolutely right about that. Under President Trump's second term, America's builders are thriving. Real estate is rebounding, small businesses are hiring, and construction permits are up. Meanwhile, Democrat-run cities like New York are suffocating under the weight of their own bad policies. Mandami promised progress, but he delivered paralysis. He scared off the investors. Remember Kevin O'Leary? He warned about this. Kevin O'Leary said that this would happen. He angered tenants, and he exposed the left's biggest myth, that socialism helps the poor. But in reality, it traps the poor. And this is exactly what voters are waking up to. This is a truth that the DNC can't spin away. Now, here's where it gets even worse for them. Now, you would think New York, deep blue, heavily unionized, full of lifelong Democrats, they would rally around their candidate. You would think that they would rally around their candidate, but no, that's not what happened. When voters were asked how they felt about Mandami, the answers were devastating. I don't think any of these candidates are great, is what people are saying. Another person said the party failed to find someone qualified. Now, I want you to understand, these are not Republican critics. These are actual Democrats, their own voters saying this stuff. And so this tells you pretty much everything you need to know about what's going on with the Democrat Party. The Democrat base isn't energized. It's completely exhausted. I mean, they're sick of slogans. They're sick of identity pandering. They're sick of being told to clap for incompetence. You can only gaslight people for so long before they start seeing through the fog. Meanwhile, Trump supporters are fired up. You got conservative voters lining up early, volunteering, donating, believing. I mean, you could feel the difference out there. One side has conviction and the other side has confusion. And here's the terrifying part for Democrats. If they're losing faith in New York, the bluest of blue strongholds, then what happens when the same fatigue hits Michigan or Arizona and Pennsylvania? That is not just a problem. This is an extinction level event for their political machine. And so while Democrats spiral, Republicans are on the rise like never before. Across the nation, anywhere from Florida to Ohio to California's forgotten heartland, something powerful is happening. Ordinary Americans, tired of crime, inflation, and weakness, are returning to common sense. The GOP isn't just gaining ground, it's dominating the battlefield. Under President Trump's second term, manufacturing is roaring back. Gas prices are stable, border security is back in full force, and every victory he delivers makes the left look smaller, pettier, and just more unhinged. New polling out of Fox and Rasmussen shows Trump's approval rating surging past 60%. Now, this is unheard of this far into a presidency. And you already know what's fueling it, right? Democrat obsession. Every time they mention his name, every investigation, every insult, every meltdown, his numbers just keep on climbing higher. It's like, what is the phrase in the Bible? No weapon formed against you shall prosper. They are literally showing the principle work in real time. Drop an amen down below if you're seeing it too. President Trump's base isn't shrinking, it's multiplying. And while the DNC flounders in moral confusion, the GOP is laser focused on rebuilding the middle class, defending families, and restoring American pride. This is the new contrast, chaos versus clarity. And folks, America has made its choice. So now I want to talk about what might be the single biggest wound in the Democratic Party: the moral collapse. Because when the DNC refused to condemn Mandami's radical remarks, they didn't just lose voters, they lost their moral compass. Jewish Democrats, independents, even moderate liberals begged for leadership. They wanted someone, anybody in power, to say, look, this is wrong. But what did they get instead? Excuses, silence, a shrug, maybe. That is the difference between conviction and cowardice. So when Republicans see something wrong, they call it out. When Trump sees weakness, he crushes it. But when Democrats see hate within their own ranks, they cover it up. And this is why America's turning. People aren't just voting for policies anymore. They're voting for integrity. They're tired of fake outrage from the same politicians who stay quiet when it matters the most. This isn't about left versus right anymore. This is about right versus wrong. Because when a party defends the indefensible to protect its own power, that ain't politics. That is rot. And this moral rot is spreading very fast. From New York to Washington, from the DNC to the White House press briefings. And the American people, they can see it clear as day. No one's falling for this anymore. And now, here we are, the closing chapter of a party that once claimed to fight for the people. Now they're just fighting to survive. So as Mandami's campaign collapses, it is more than one man falling. This is the curtain coming down on a movement that has lost its soul. Democrats chased trends, not truth. They built platforms on outrage, not outcomes. And the result? Voters running for the exits. Meanwhile, President Trump is leading with clarity and confidence. Jobs are up. Inflation is down. Jobs are up. Inflation is down. The border's under control. The world respects America again. Meanwhile, Democrats argue over pronouns. Trump is building or rebuilding prosperity. Even CNN quietly admits it. The GOP is now favored to take back dozens of key seats in 2026. The Trump coalition is stronger, broader, and more unstoppable than ever before. And Mandami, well, he's just the symbol of what happens when arrogance meets accountability. They tried to make Trump the villain, but Mandami made him the victor. So as the Democrats burn in the chaos that they created, remember, this is what chaos and collapse looks like. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned because this political earthquake is far from... Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.